definitely Christmas. So we're into the Advent season. This is the third Sunday of Advent. And as I have explained, I'm treating it in a different way. Normally we think in terms, or I should say mainstream Christianity thinks in terms of either the first or second coming. The whole idea is that a Savior will appear. And we ask the question, Savior from what? And the general response is Savior from evil, from sin, from all the consequences of all the whatever problems we've had. That the Son of God will show up and give us an opportunity to start enjoying life, I guess, is one of the ideas, that we'll be totally free of all limitations. And so we're taking a different view of this because I do not think even a Jesus Christ can show up and change your life. He did it once, and it didn't work so well for a lot of people. There were a lot of people that didn't recognize that he was any different than any other self-proclaimed prophet that stood up in that day and said that they were the Christ. And the scriptures even say that it will be said, when the second coming supposedly occurs, there'll be people standing up every place saying, here's the Christ, there's the Christ. It was an expectation that was in place long before Jesus showed up. And that's an interesting thing. It's a part of the human nature, that our answer, the good we seek, a change of life, for somebody or something's going to show up and make things better. And what we are doing here is we're saying that the universe is already complete, that there's nothing that needs to show up to make our lives better. The only thing that needs to show up to make our lives better is us. We need to show up, and we need to say that I am an expression of God. If the kingdom of heaven is to be expressed on this earth, it must be done through me. Because as Jesus pointed out, I'm the light of the world. We are all lights of the world. Let your light shine. And that's really the messianic message that we tap into, that is actually practical. Because you think about it, if you have a candle like we have here, and you put a bushel basket over it, nobody can see its light. It doesn't do anything. And the candle can be told, you're the light of the world, you're the light of your world. Well, the candle's covered up. And so the light that it is doesn't go out. It's not too influential. But if you take the bushel off, and Jesus gave this parable, you lift the bushel from the lamp, from the candle, and you can actually light up a whole room. And what is that? How does that connect with the idea of salvation? Is that we are walking in darkness. For the most part, or for a lot of our life, we walk in spiritual ignorance. We say God is someplace else, and I'm here and I have problems and I need answers. But to say, let your light shine, is to say that which you're looking for is within you. And it's a matter of learning how to let it out. And as we let that light out, it lights up our world. We take off the basket, and our world lights up. And that's the answer we're looking for. We're looking for more light. We're looking for more understanding. We're looking for greater healing. We're looking for prosperity. We're looking for harmony in relationships. We're looking for a lot of good things. And we may be asking God for those things. And God is saying, well, I've given them to you, but you have to let them shine. You have to let it shine out from within. If you want to meet the love of your life, become a great lover. Become conscious. Become an attractor. So many people try to attract by deceptive means. You ever notice that? I'm glad I don't do the singles thing anymore, but you notice there are a lot of games being played, ways of attracting people. And it's not always real healthy. If you have to do backflips to attract them, you'll have to do double backflips to keep them. That's what I said in one of my books. And we're not here to do backflips. The relationships that we're in should be a natural outpouring, outpicturing of who we are. And that's the very best way to bring something together, not by telling someone, I'm a great person. You should look into me. But be that great person. Be who you are. And you attract someone that's just like that, or someone that likes that level. And it's a lot easier. We play so many games sometimes, and I'm not picking on singles or really even talking about any particular area of life, because people do it with their careers. I've known people that have engaged in careers they didn't like. But they did it for the money. They did it for whatever thing that career gave them, but it didn't give them a sense of satisfaction. And it's like, I can be somebody I'm not for, 30, 40 years because it pays well. And I'm not so sure that's such a good idea. It's, I guess you can do whatever you want. We're all here and can make our own choices. Nobody's telling us whether or not that's good. I've told the story many times. I performed a wedding one time, and I was invited to the reception. We were having a reception dinner, and I sat across from a man that said he had just retired after 40 years. He said, I hated every day of it. And I said, why'd you do that? He looked at me like I was some kind of an idiot. He said, a man's got to eat. Yes, a man's got to eat, but a man has other things that they ought to do if they're going to be happy. Eating makes you happy for a little while. I like to eat. But if that's all it was, I get tired of eating. I wish I could figure out how not to eat. Be a breatharian. Eating gets boring sometimes. It's like you just have to stuff that in the mouth to take care of the body, keep the body running. It's like, do you like stopping at the gas station and filling up your car? Is that fun? Is that something you really look forward to? You got to do it if you're going to drive a car. But anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about that. But the point was the man that was so unhappy with his life, and it wouldn't surprise me if his retirement didn't last too long, like he'd croak because he can't do something he hates anymore, so he doesn't know what to do. I don't know what happened with him, but that happens a lot. That we become so identified with something we don't like, this is just my life, it's just I've got to put up with it kind of thing. I'm not so sure that's why we're here. I don't think that's why I came. I'm not interested in doing that kind of thing. I've had jobs I've hated. I've been in situations that I couldn't hardly get up in the morning and go to them. The ministry has had its moments, but overall it has been a phenomenal opportunity for me to be who I am in a way that I don't think I could be in any other kind of environment. Because it allows me to think out loud, to explore my spiritual quest in front of you, to hold me accountable for the things I say. It helps to be held accountable because so much of our life takes place in the quiet, away from people. And I don't get up here and talk about things I don't believe in. I never have. I don't think I could do that. I could never be a traditional Christian minister because I do not believe what they are saying is true. I think they are misleading a lot of people, but people have just embraced this kind of thing for so long, they don't question it. It's just the way it is. Jesus is coming someday. He's coming. And I've got to prepare, which nobody really heeds that. But it's this whole idea that he's coming someday and he's going to get rid of all the evil in the world, and I'm not going to be among the evil. I'm one of the chosen. I'll be one of the ones that are saved. But what if none of that happens? And I have a feeling that if Jesus showed up today and gave a message that he probably gave when he was walking the earth before, that he would be crucified, maybe not physically, depends on the part of the world that he would show up in, because there are parts of the world that still do that. But he would be religiously crucified, I think, because I think he had a message of the inner awakening. It wasn't about God up in the sky. It wasn't about a person coming to save us all. It was about waking up to our spiritual awareness. So we're approaching Lent from that Lent. Bev, see what you did to me. We're approaching Advent from that perspective. Up in the front, I'm going to go over this quickly because those of you that weren't here last week, the wreath that we have has 4 candles. And the wreath itself it's a complete circle. It represents God, the eternal, that has no beginning, no end. And that it surrounds the other candles is symbolic of that we're immersed. As Paul said, in him we live and move and have our being. I like that description because it doesn't tell us what God is. It tells us how to think of God. In him we live and move and have our being. That's not an old man in the sky. That's an energy field. That's what I live and move and have my being in. And that's very close. It is in me and I'm in it, like the sponge is in the water and the water is in the sponge. So the evergreen wreath represents God, the eternal, no beginning, no end, omnipresent. We are immersed in that. The white candle at the center represents the Christ, that spiritual dimension in us, not Jesus, that spiritual dimension in us, the soul, our center of power. And it is always burning. I emphasize that the soul is complete. It's not evolving. It's already complete. The image, likeness of God, already complete. And that's one of the hurdles that we have put in front of ourselves is we say, I'm an evolving soul. I'm going to be more someday than I am today. So let's stop saying that. I am a complete soul today. That light that I am, that I let shine. When I say I'm an evolving soul, I'm not letting my light shine. I let it shine a little bit, but it's dim. So the first candle that I lit last week, the green one, represents life. And these 4 qualities we talk about are representative of 4 aspects of God: life, love, power, and intelligence. So we dwelt on life the first week. Last week we dwelt on the idea of love. And in the sense that love is drawing to us that which is for our highest good and dissolving that which is not. And I gave the illustration Jesus gave of the pruning, the vine dresser that wants more fruit, so he prunes off the old. And that's the action of love. It prunes things from our lives sometimes relationships, sometimes jobs, sometimes things that stand in the way of our highest good, but we can't see it necessarily. We can't see that this thing is a hindrance. We can't see that my hanging on to this, my clinging to this is actually keeping me from growing. So love does that. It dissolves everything unlike itself. It dissolves that which is not for our highest good and draws to us that which is. So when you wish love on somebody, that's what you're doing. You're saying, I see you. I see your life dissolving. Things are dissolving. Things that are hurting you, standing in your way, are dissolving. But that which is for your highest good is being brought in. That's what it means to love your neighbor in my book. So we're looking today at power, and I'll skip this one and talk about it in full as we go. So power is an aspect of God. It expresses through us as strength. And we'll talk next week about intelligence, which expresses as order. We see intelligence expressed on many levels. The human being is the highest expression of intelligence, or we have the highest capacity to express intelligence, I should say that. But the same intelligence that moves the earthworm is the same intelligence that's in us. But we have a faculty that allows us to express more of it. It's no better, it's just more. And sometimes we misuse that. In fact, we often abuse it. And we're learning here how to think correctly and how to use these faculties, these aspects. And just a quick reminder, think of yourself as a prism. You've got the white light of God focused on you. You are this prism, the soul, and that light hits you, and then it expresses as a spectrum, a color spectrum. In this case, we're thinking different expressions of life, love, power, and intelligence. But it expresses through our consciousness. This is let your light shine. God is your light. God is the source of your light. And we are waking up to that truth, and we're letting this shine through our words, through our actions, through our thoughts, through our emotions, through every aspect of our life. So power manifests in a wide range of ways, from the unfathomable. That's a hard one. Unfathomable power, you got what I mean, of the sun to the simple unfolding of a leaf. So when we think of power, when we think of God as power, we often think of it as this old man in the sky that shoots lightning bolts, the old Zeus image, this very powerful being. But power is quiet. The kind of power that we are looking for is quiet. And it is an inner assurance. And from that rises a strength. It's the power to have faith when things look like they're falling apart. To say there is a greater good unfolding through me now, that takes power. It takes power to say it and affirm it in a way that you actually believe it, that you actually embrace it. And you have the power to do that. You have the power to make the change. You can think of a situation in your life that's been giving you a lot of grief. And in the twinkling of an eye, you can affirm that I am empowered by the infinite life of God, the infinite power of God. I know what to do and I do it. In the twinkling of an eye, we can change how we feel about that thing. I don't know how it's going to work out, but it is. I know it is. And that's a very quiet thing. You don't go around telling all your friends, I know that this is all going to work out. You can, but I would not recommend it, because the more you express things like that, you will tend to fritter your power away. It's best to keep quiet about what you're thinking about, what you're praying for. And you could say to somebody that you have this feeling everything really is working out, everything's in divine order. You can tell your friend there, and they say, no, it's not. Things are really bad. Don't you know how bad they are? You're irresponsible. You think this is good. So people will put you down without trying because they're looking at the facts. And faith, of course, does not go by the facts. It goes by, well, it does. It goes by a deeper fact, the truth. that you have unlimited power, that you are a fountain, or there is a fountain of unlimited power within you. And you are saying the truth speaking the truth when you say, I am empowered by God. I know what to do and I do it. Even if you don't know what to do, say it anyway. Because that opens your mind to knowing what to do. And the way opens, it always does. You've made it this far, haven't you? Haven't we all had major problems in our lives? We didn't know how to get through them. Well, we're here. But don't just look at that. This is a new day, even though the sun's not shining at the moment. It's a new day. God is shining. The light of God is present. So I know what to do and I do it. Just hold that thought. When you don't know what to do and you're not doing it, hold that thought until you make a shift in your own consciousness. You feel good about things. And the fewer people you talk to about it, the better. And if there is someone you need to talk to, you'll know when it's right. You'll know I'm not, there's no hard, fast rules on any of this. There's no right and wrong. But I do know I have been excited about things and I've told people and I regretted it later. Because you have to go back and explain why it didn't work out. You ever had that happen? It takes energy to be wrong. So don't do that. Power rises in our being as physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual strength. And that's important because you think because you feel empowered, it's because you just thought of something or whatever. But think of it as I've removed some block. And I feel better physically. I feel better mentally. I feel better emotionally. And I feel spiritual strength. There's no limit to that. We call on strength to hold a steady course, to take one more step when our world seems to crumble around us. And that's a pretty interesting thing. When we have a problem, we want to solve it. So we look, 10 miles down the road to where we think the solution will be. And a lot of times you have to pull yourself back to this moment and just say, I'm here. I'm here now. And what do I need to do now? Nothing. I'm okay. Sometimes you have to talk to yourself in that kind of way. Because as intelligent as we are, we misuse our intelligence. We create problems. I've said many times that we only worry about the things we can do nothing about. And what is that? It's it's a misuse of our intelligence. I have this ability to envision things, so I envision the very worst thing that could possibly happen. And I sit there and I worry about it. It's so easy to do. We're very good at it. If you don't think you're good at it and you need practice, just turn on the news. We have professional image makers that give us things to worry about, because that drives up ratings. We're addicted to that kind of thing. It's a pretty amazing thing when you stop and think about it. I pretty much shut the news off. I keep abreast of things. But I found when I would watch it every day, several times a day, that I would be depressed. Not even know why. It's designed to make you depressed because you think something's got to be resolved, so I'll turn it on again, see if it's resolved. It's never resolved. If it's resolved, it's not news. That's what the whole system is, and we live in a culture that is addicted to that kind of thing. So addicted we don't even know we're addicted. We don't even know that we're doing what we're doing to ourselves. And it's not to say that we stick our heads in the sand and just look the other way. We need to be able to look at world events, but from a sane point of view. And not too many people are doing that these days. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have. So we call on strength to hold a steady course, to take one more step when our world seems to crumble around us. And the world will crumble around us, and sometimes that's not a bad thing. Sometimes the world needs to crumble around us. I don't know how many times I've been in that situation where you think you're going to die if you lose or don't accomplish or get something, and you don't get it and you don't die. In fact, you're happy you didn't get it because there's something better. And that happens so often. It's not a bad thing. Failure, what we call failure, may be one of the greatest spiritual stimulants that there is. I've asked people many times, spoke in a big church in Detroit one time. There were about probably 1,000 people there in the audience. I said, how many of you have come to Unity as a result of a crisis? And I think about 80% of them raised their hands. So is that a bad thing? You don't want a crisis in your life. But what crisis does, it makes us dig deeper. It takes us to the end of our rope. And that rope, it will hang you. So when you're at the end of the rope, you let go. And that's what crisis is. It's letting go of something that was familiar at one time and it's not working anymore. Do you have the power to deal with that? Well, I don't know. I've never had to try. Well, now you do. And that's how we discover our power. We discover our power when we don't know what to do. I think it was Oliver Cromwell who said, a man never rises so high as to when he does not know where he's going. And that's true. First, we're terrorized by that, and then we get our bearings, and we find our center of power. And we know what to do. We move right through it. We steady our faith in the well-being of a loved one. Strength may manifest, this is the way power expresses. We steady our faith in the well-being of a loved one. You have someone that you're concerned about, and you hold them in the highest thought. They're okay. Greater good is unfolding through them now. Strength may manifest as the courage to make an apology. Sometimes that does take a lot of strength. Or it may express as the power to say no to behavior we know is destructive. That takes strength. A lot of times it's easier just to go along with things rather than say, that doesn't work anymore. Let's not do that. I don't accept that. And we can be addressing ourselves or we can be addressing somebody else. But there's all kinds of ways that power manifests through us. It's not something far off. It's something that happens all the time. It's always going on. We always have the opportunity to express our power through some form of strength. So I've got a couple of affirmations here for power and strength, and I'll say them first and then ask you to join me in speaking them. But as we say them, as I have pointed out, get a sense of what you're saying. Get a sense that this is true. Because that's the key. An affirmation is not words. It's action. It's the action that occurs in you when you embrace the words. That's really what an affirmation is. It's a movement of your mind. It's a movement of your being. I am an expression of pure power. Together? I am an expression of pure power. The full radiance of my soul empowers me to steadfastness in all that I am and all that I do. Together. The full radiance of my soul empowers me to steadfastness in all that I am and all that I do. My strength is boundless. My power has no limits. Together. My strength is boundless. My power has no limits. And this is absolutely true. Our power is only limited by our thinking, by our emotion, by our looking out at our life and putting all the facts on the table, saying this thing is bigger than I am, I need to worry. That's a mental exercise of the imagination. It's imagination run wild. So let's stop using the imagination in that way and say that I am empowered to move through this situation in ways that are productive, in ways that are strengthening, inspiring to others, empowering to me. And just know that every step I take is the right step. It's in divine order. Okay? Next week we will conclude this series. I'm having trouble talking today. We'll conclude this series with intelligence, and then we will move then into the candlelighting service on Christmas Eve, and I hope you can join us for that. That's kind of the culmination of all of this. Okay, thanks for coming out.
You've been watching a talk presented at the Unity Church of Grand Junction by Reverend Doug Bator. We would like to thank everyone who joined us here today in beautiful Grand Junction, Colorado, as well as those of you who are joining us online. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Also, please feel free to share this video with anyone you think might be interested or benefit from this message. If this video brought value to your life, please consider making a donation by clicking the link below to our PayPal donation account. Thanks again so much for watching.